Hi everyone, thought I'd make a video about my Fiesta. I sold it last weekend. That's gone on to pastures new to an enthusiast, which I'm happy about. But it's gone, and I owned it from new, 2013. 4 years almost, 61,000 miles, and a huge amount of fun, a lot of laughs. Really, really good car, really enjoyed it. Now I know there's a lot of fellow enthusiasts out there, so I thought I'd share what I've learned about it. I'll start off with my 5 loves and my 5 hates. So 5 things I love about my Fiesta. First off is the torque. The shove low down means you can drive it anywhere, any gear really. It's so willing, and it just gets going down the road with a square throttle, boosts up really quickly, tiny little turbo, no lag, and yeah, the torque, the shove, the ability to break traction in pretty much any gear in the wet. That's number 1. Number 2, the mobility, the way it moves about, the way you can influence how the car is in a corner just using the throttle. It's very give it a lift off the throttle and the back comes round, it moves a bit, it lets you know what's going on. It's you can really play around with it, and once you learn to kind of play around with it on the limit, it's huge fun. Third thing, build quality. Now build quality, it's a Fiesta, it's good enough, but compared to the cars that I came from, which was 2003 Clio 172 Cup and a 2009 Clio 200, the build quality is in a different league. Next one is steering. The steering in it is so direct, so quick. You get a really pointy, darty front end. The way it moves around left and right, it's so instant, very direct. Enough feel for me, I can feel when the front tyres are starting to understeer. But yeah, really good, fantastic steering, perfectly weighted. And lastly, my love is the fact that a lot of people see it as just a Fiesta. They don't realise that underneath it's a fantastic driver's car. There's a reason why so many journalists went out and bought them after having them as a test drive. There's a reason that even today it's still highly regarded as one of the most involving cars. So its reputation, the fact that it would go unnoticed, I quite like that you could slip about and no one would see you as in anything other than a Fiesta. So on to my dislikes. Well, mine at the end of its life with me was MR230, and one of my dislikes was the noise. The exhaust. Now it didn't drone, it sounded alright, sounded quite raspy, but it just made the whole car a bit too noisy for me. So yeah, the noise is the first thing I don't really like about it. Now number 2 is the boost hose clamps. That's a dislike, a mild dislike. In a couple of times over the 60,000 miles that I had it, I had to just pinch them all up, tighten them up a bit. Now when I put the hoses on that came as part of the MR230 package, I did put on the proper mount tune pack of hose clamps, but even they loosened off, and I only realised when I went to a rolling road and it was a bit down on power. I only made 214, I think it was. So it was that combined with the sound imposer leaking that made me realise that the boost hoses were leaking. You know, I was down on boost, not making power. So the boost hose clamps, if you've got a car, every 20,000 miles, maybe even 10,000 miles or even more often, give them a quick pinch up, check they're tight, because you could be losing boost, and that's just performance wasted. Another dislike is the Rado, however it's pronounced, grey wheel paint colour. Ford have never released a code for it, so if you curb a wheel, as I did, one of them, just a light curb, it was a couple of inches though, you have no real options other than to get all 4 refurbed, because there isn't a perfect match. There's a Volvo colour code that people say is a very close match. If you've got an early car, I know they changed the paint colour of the grey wheels, the style pack wheels, later in the life of the car. But if you've got an early one and it's Rado grey, if that's how it's pronounced, then you will struggle to get a paint match if you curb one of the wheels. Number 4 is the quality of the paint. It seems to be really, really soft. Now, I never did a lot of motorway miles in my Fiesta, so I wasn't following cars, I wasn't getting, stones flicked up. But when I sold the car, the front end was peppered in white dots where stones had just taken the molten orange paint off and left the white dot visible behind. So yeah, the paint on the front of them is something I have heard a lot of people have reported. Seems to be pretty poor in quality. So expect to have to give the front of your car some attention. And the last dislike is same as the last thing I loved. It's the reputation of the Fiesta. Some people just don't get it. It is not annoying, but snobbery, brand snobbery. People that have got a car that's significantly more powerful will look down their nose at you because your car is just a Fiesta. But on a back road, they're small, agile, and have got just enough power to get you involved, keep you entertained, but without you getting to ridiculous speeds, which is what you have to in any of the more powerful hatches. So yeah, brand snobbery. So it's good that people think it's just a Fiesta, but it can be frustrating. So what have I learned then? What have I learned over 60,000 miles, apart from all of the above? Well, they're easy enough to work on, especially if you do track days, you get through brakes. I've always seen brakes as something which is just something you wear out and replace. That's what they're there for. So I have no problem changing brakes. I quite enjoy it. I made a video about how to change the brakes, which I'm sure some of you have seen. It's easy, really, really straightforward. What else have I learned? Well, I've learned what it costs to run a Fiesta ST. I bought mine outright in 2013, and I've logged every penny and just kept a record of everything. So I created a few charts and graphs. I'm not going to bore you and talk through them all now, but if you pause on any of the ones ahead, you can have a look, and if you've got any questions about anything you see or how I did it, please leave a question or comment below the video. Another thing I'd add is MP215, the Mount Tune Performance Pack, that gives it 200 horsepower, different air intake, different filter, different map, full warranty, no more noise, everything just perfect. That's the sweet spot for the ST. I went MR230, and yes, it gives you a lot more shove, but it's almost a bit too much. I ended up fitting stickier tyres to try and just give me a bit more front end grip. Another thing is about the car and its capabilities on track. You don't need to do anything at all to a Fiesta ST to take it on track and have a blast. They perform really, really well. I think the standard brakes they give you now may struggle a bit, so you may want to swap out the front pads, but that is the absolute most, apart from standard basic maintenance, that you have to do to be able to take a Fiesta ST on track and have an absolute blast. Fantastic little things. And just the last couple of things. The seat cushions. I had the molten orange seats. You can get, I think it's smoke grey, or it's not storm grey, smoke grey I think, seats as well. For me anyway, with the orange, the seat base, the seat cushion, bit that your backside's in contact with, absorb dirt. I had to clean it about 3 or 4 times in my ownership. Gave it a good scrub with a proper kind of car textile cleaner with a brush, and it all came out and came up matching the passenger seat. So long as you keep on top of it, your seats will look good. But the seats do seem to just absorb dirt or die from trousers. And the last thing really is the voice control. The Sync 2, it's only a basic system, I didn't have nav. but the voice control was absolutely superb. I had an iPod connected to it, full voice control, 4,500 songs. Didn't need to touch any of the buttons because you control it with voice and with the buttons on the steering wheel. So the voice control was excellent. So all in all, they are, and I found it a fantastic little car. I would like to have held on to mine, but I've got a new car on order. I had a pretty lousy trade-in price from the dealer, so I had to sell it on privately. So that's put me in this Hyundai i10. Not the most exciting thing. I will be doing a review of sorts at some point, maybe. But I've got this until my new car arrives. Would have loved to have held on to the Fiesta. Fantastic, fantastic car if I'd had the space. Yeah, it would have been nice, but it wasn't really an option for me. So had to let it go. So the Fiesta's gone. I'm stuck in this thing for a while, and my new car arrives soon. Should be about 2 weeks' time I'll have it. I think some of you know already what it is. It's a Focus RS. So I'm looking forward to doing the same as I did with the Fiesta all over again. I'll be tracking costs, I'll be looking after it. This time I'll be keeping it standard, and I'll be taking it on track and exploring all the drive modes. So yeah, lots of data logging, lots of fun ahead with that, especially the launch control. Looking forward to that. So that's soon. This is now. Goodbye Fiesta. Sorely missed. Great cars. Enjoy yours.